Hi there, welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I just wanted to continue on with my little ode to kind of like old school stuff. If you saw one of my last videos or my last couple of videos, I was showing a whole bunch of VHS tapes, which really kind of brought me back. And actually, sitting here on the table while I was doing that, I was finding some of the DVDs where people had kind of made compilations from some of my old VHS tapes or some VHS tapes. I don't know. Could be stuff that I bought. This one is like Stevie Nicks videos, Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks videos, 4 hours. Fleetwood Mac compilation, doesn't say how time, number 13. And that, this is I don't know, probably at least a 4-hour DVD. So Stevie Fleetwood Mac Australian compilation from 77 to 94. Concerts, compilation number 14. Stevie, yes, I mean, compilation number 11. This was my friend. It was so funny. I'll just leave it like that because she was like, some are better than none. Because if you'd seen, I had mentioned that she had it had taken her 2 years. Whatever. I mean, I'm not mad at all by any means, but I was saying that, she had taken a whole bunch of my old VHS tapes and was converting them to DVD for both of us, and probably online. But yeah, it's time consuming. It's super, super long. And on that note, what I want to bring up next, and something that I really would like to talk about in length, but it's certainly not the authority. I'm not really a good person to do it, but this is one of my CD cases. You'll remember these days, right? And inside here are all demos. These are all CDs full of demos. Now, this is far from everything. Like I said, I have two of these. I have some, sorry if that was a noise on my mic. I had to readjust. There are, this is the tip of the iceberg. And some are like fancy made, like I had, like, again, I bought some bootlegs, and I think that's why I'm bringing this video. This was a fancy one, Dancing Again. It was a live show of Fleetwood Mac, promotional use only. It's fake. It's a bootleg. It's a total fraud. But I think I'm bringing it up because there are so many people still selling this stuff on eBay, and, to each their own. People who want to buy this stuff. It's not quite what's the word I'm looking for? Not quite the forbidden fruit that it used to be a long time ago when these things first started coming out and people were selling them online. A lot of people were really, really angry, as we should be. We're not even the artists. We're not even Stevie Nicks or Fleetwood Mac or Lindsay or Christine, because there are a lot of their demos as well. But, live shows, that's a common thing. I mean, that's been going on since the 50s and 60s. I'm sure of it. This was another fancy one that had come out. This is Next Stop Main Road, which is a classic, actually. This one is pretty well out there. At least when they do it, they did it nicely enough. This is basically the Tango in the Night. I think this is Manchester 1990, if I'm not mistaken. This says 1991, but yeah, I think it's 1990. So it's somewhere behind the mask. But, it came in a nice case. They had nice pictures and everything with it, the correct pictures. It's another thing that drives me nuts. I'll get to in a minute. But, so a show is a little bit different than demos. But the whole demo situation with Stevie Nicks is apparently somebody had a storage unit of Stevie's eons ago. And I might have mentioned this or not, and you might have heard this. Somebody had won a storage unit of Stevie's, and there was a bunch of cassettes in there and recordings and such like that. The thing about that is that even though that could have happened at any time, because, there have been storage unit auctions as long as there's been storage units. There's also the story of people giving Stevie Nicks their cassettes and Stevie Nicks giving her cassettes to people. I believe there's a story about Stevie Nicks giving her cassette to Tom Petty, I want to say, and she'd begun recording a song that he had written or he had kind of done the tunes to, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing? That's my song." Or I want to say it's Stevie and Tom Petty. He was really mad at her, and she just thought he was just giving her some music and, to just kind of listen to and not start writing music to. And that kind of made him mad. So, and it could be a friend was over. "Oh man, I really like this. I'd like to listen to this longer. Can you give it to me?" And Stevie forgot there was 19 other demos on there. Who the hell knows? All I do know is that Stevie is one of the most, in my opinion, prolific people to have demos out there. Now, probably every artist does, and I'm just biased because I'm a big Stevie Nicks fan. But I mean, I've looked and just kind of been curious about other trade rings and such. And there are several big trading rings. Tori Amos, Annie DeFranco, because she self-publishes and has zero qualms about putting out music. and Stevie Nicks. And I don't know about the Stevie Nicks trade rings anymore because she's not quite as frequent with music and making demos and such. But I'm pretty confident that Annie's and Tori's are just like buzzing even as we speak. But a lot of people used to be on trade circles with, like AOL and such like that, message boards and stuff like that, where they would, if you want to trade, I have this show of Stevie Nicks or Fleetwood Mac, and I'll trade you this one, and you'd exchange CDs or you'd upload them to LimeWire. I don't even know, because I was never really a part of it. But I was a part of several people who were like, don't trade this. Like, this is super, super rare. Don't do this. If somebody so and so knows that I gave that to you, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. I'll be kicked out of the ring and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. So it was really neat because people were trading them. People were really, it was the love of the music. It was the love of Stevie fan, one Stevie fan to another. And actually I realized that this is my book of live shows. And again, this is still nothing. These are not demos, actually. Even this is a professional one. I wish I had the cases here. I didn't even think about that before I started making the video. Actually, no, that is a demo. Whatever. It's a combination of both. I tried to have one book that was all live shows and another book that was all demos, but I really pared down. And I will also tell you that some of these CDs I put in just do not work so well anymore. And we thought CDs were going to be the end of an era. Boy, once I get it on CD, I'll never have to get it on anything else again. And sure enough, they're kind of breaking down, even though I take really good care of them. The quality is still pretty good, but something's kind of skipped. It's really not the sound. It's more the like I said, the skip and other stuff like that. But anyway, back to what I was saying is there's some people that make live bootleg shows, and that's a common. They've been on records and stuff like that forever. And if you buy those, I guess not such a big thing. But if you're interested in other Stevie music that you're not familiar with, or did you know that there's 1,900 different versions of Stand Back, or did you know that like The Chain was like, a Stevie Nicks song that emerged into a, with a little input from Lindsay, a little input from Christine, a little input from John, etc., became something else. First of all, those are on a lot of things that have been released, or there are certainly websites that you can go to. The first one that came to my mind was buckinghamnicks.net, I think, and that is a really good source for finding Stevie demos and stuff like that. And that's where you should look for them, or you should reach out to me, or you should go to a website, on Facebook or something like that if you're interested in Stevie demos. But I implore you, please not to buy them. And it's not because Stevie's not making the money out of it. It's just that they are out there now for the people. And if anybody should be making money off of them, it should be Stevie. And I believe that it was Stevie Nicks who went to her own, to like YouTube, I want to say, around the 24 Karat Gold tour and or album, I should say, and went into her, what you call it, her gothic trunk, and was finding her own music that she had forgotten about. So she says, and was like, oh my God, and finding these things on YouTube and, revising them, re-recording them, getting them, or doing whatever the case may be. I don't know about that. I mean, I think that she certainly has plenty of tracks that are still left, but it could be there was one that's just gone, that she'll never recoup again. And the best version was whatever she found on YouTube. It's hard to say, but, there are volumes. I mean, this is, like I said, this is a combination of live shows and bootlegs. And I want to say this holds about 60. It's, I don't want to count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4, 32, 64 CDs. Yeah. So that's a lot. And like I said, it's really pared down. I mean, back in the day, I had hundreds of CDs, and 64. I mean, even if I found the other book, I mean, that's almost close to 200, right? Not quite. It's 100 and something. But my point is, and I had a lot of these, and I had a lot of cassettes, and then I had a lot of other stuff. But it's just gotten to the point. I don't look at these. I used to listen to a lot of them. I have some favorites that I still put in. But one of them right here was That's All Right, documentary of Rock a Little, the Chain writing process, 77 rehearsal. Now, I know that the Chain has come out on one of the different rumors. One of the rumors expanded, but I'm still not sure that that's all of it. And I think the reason I've not been too much of a person to advocate or talk about myself on one of my videos for this is because there is too much. I don't know everything. I know a lot, but when it comes to this world, I am completely a noob. I have no idea. I know the songs, I know the names and stuff like that, but Jesus, there are so many Stevie songs out there. But it's really neat because if you look in some of the fanzines and stuff, there's some names that have come out, like Arabesque always stands out in my mind. Supposedly a song that Stevie had written, or actually that she has up. I don't know when she did it last, but she had updated the rights to the song, like in her publishing kind of thing. And there's a lot of names for songs that people had never heard of. Now, have those become something else that we know now? Maybe. Or it could be that she still got some random song out there called like Arabesque, and one was called Carousel. Now, I think that did come out on 24 Karat Gold. It's really neat to have watched her, and I've only been into watching her stuff since about the 90s, late 90s, and watching what little bit I know of that was a demo or something like that, this unfinished song, evolve and be redone. Maybe I'll consider it for my album in, 2001. No, I don't want to put it on that. Maybe I'll put it on the next album, and so on and so forth, and kind of evolve. The Dealer was a perfect example, which finally made it out. And I was a big fan of that song. And I'm still a really big fan of the original demos, not so much the finished. I love it, but I like some of the original demos better. But watching that progress and stuff for her is really fascinating. And, like I said, if you find a really cool, you can find some of these CDs sometimes at a record store. Sometimes they'll have a bootleg at a record store, and it's pretty good quality. And if it's around the $10 to $20, at the most being a bootleg, this is the New Jersey 75, which is, it's always given a name, but it's around 75. I have 15 copies of it on vinyl, probably with 100 different names, but it's always the one that starts out with Station Man, Spare Me a Little Your Love. This one doesn't have Y on it, which is one of Christine's best songs live, and Stevie's vocals in that will give you goosebumps. But Station Man, Spare Me a Little Your Love, all of that is just, it's really good sound. And that was one I got in a record store. This was one that somebody had made online. Obviously, you can tell by the the early 2000s label making process. And this was Wallingford, Connecticut, 1976, supposedly. Just tons of stuff like that. So again, I was just going through some closed auctions on eBay, and I saw a lot of bootlegs selling. Somebody had sold a whole bunch of collections, and just, it's really kind of distressing to know that your hard-earned money could have been spent better, downloading it yourself online. And maybe people don't want to, maybe people don't want to make the time or whatever, and that's fine too. But I really think that a lot more of it is people don't know that so much is accessible to you for $0. And there's so much more, what you find there, and that would be maybe the good thing. Maybe if they found it on eBay, they'll be like, holy crap, I didn't know there was this much out there, and then seek out other stuff. But probably not, and there's so much out there. I mean, if I have these 64 CDs, can you imagine what else is out there? I'm telling you, hundreds of things. And some of these CDs, like one I have here, up as far as the Say You Will rehearsals. I mean, it's 2003. That's kind of a long time ago, but rehearsals and, the shows and stuff like that. What was one thing here that I just saw a minute ago, though? For me, the Tango in the Night session. So I certainly have more than what was on some of the Tango in the Night releases, the expanded editions. I have a Straight Back live in studio. That one probably got released. Wish You Were Here live, which is a Fleetwood Mac from the Tusk album. See, Picking Up the Pieces is they also kind of have famous names, even though they're not like legit. They kind of get called that and stay that way forever. Trying to find something that was on here that maybe you would dig or understand. If you ever did believe, again, that was another thing. I'm kind of seeing that. We all know that Louise Goffin, I think is how you say her name, had done that. And then Stevie did it eventually for Practical Magic, but there were all these different little times in between where Stevie had done it. And little things like that. Mirage Tour Rehearsal. God, there's just so much. Mirage Outtakes. Trying to think if I was trying to find one that had a song that maybe you guys didn't know. I mean, most of you people watching would probably know it, but I guess Mirage Outtakes number 3. Goodbye Angel was on this one. Down Mindless Street, which was the B-sides. No, nothing here. But I know there's like Blue Water, a lot of stuff that was on the Fleetwood Mac Almanac and the Uncirculated Rumors. Blue Water is a song that Stevie Nicks is still, those early demos. Baby Doll, just some of those names. There's just so much. I'm rambling now. I hope you enjoyed this. Please ask questions. I was thinking to maybe bring this up periodically because, again, if I gain more people, which that's not what I'm here for, that's not what I'm trying to do, but I am trying to be resourceful with people who are interested in pictures or maybe CDs or whatever the case may be. It would be kind of neat to kind of touch on these maybe and again kind of see the evolution and pop up occasionally about these kind of these things and let people know that they are out there, those resources and such. So thank you for listening to me. Sorry there was nothing to show per se. But yeah, please ask me if you need any of these, if you'd like any copies, anything like that, please. I am a source. I'm probably keeping these. I've narrowed it down, but I'll be perfectly honest, they're not really dear to me. So if you're like, oh my God, I'm dying to have these, I didn't know about that, drop me a line. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.